Ladies and gentlemen, go nuts for Jamie Brickhouse. Come on, Brooklyn! He's hustling. Look at him moving. Applaud his movement. Be careful over there, kindergarten class. You guys are sitting too close. Keep it going, Brooklyn. Come on.
You couldn't help but notice my older brother, Ronny, as he strutted into La Cantina, Mexican restaurant, in his red and yellow Yamaha windbreaker, his black t-shirt with iron-on motorcycle decals, black jeans, and a silver buckle so big you could serve chips and guacamole off of it. And it was all topped by his straw cowboy hat with the side brims rolled up. I was visiting him down in Texas from New York a year after our mother, Mama Jean, died. And other than coming from the same womb, Ronny and I had about as much in common as Texas and New York. And Ronny was like a Forrest Gump type who kind of processed the world with a combination of childlike wonder and the brutal honesty of a drunk. And, I mean, here's a portrait of us. I'm gay, a writer, and I love show tunes. Ronny is a proud redneck, a roofer, and worships Neil Diamond. But occasionally, our taste converged. We both love Shirley Bassey. I don't know what that says about either one of us. And Ronny and I are actually half-brothers. His father died when he was a little boy, and then Mama Jean remarried, and she and my father had me. But Ronny has also a vivid picture of the afterlife. So on the day that Mama Jean died, he came into the kitchen, and through his watery red eyes, he said, "Pink, I'm telling you, Mama is up there in heaven right now getting a huge welcome from Neil Diamond." Now, I knew Neil Diamond worked the world, but I didn't know he worked heaven. "And right now, Mama is up there reunited with my father, my grandparents, her Uncle Billy, and she is having the time of her life." Death, actually. But, so, I'm back at La Cantina restaurant, and I'm looking, across the table at Ronny, and I look out the window, and there's his red truck parked in the parking lot. And on the side of the truck, he has taken the obit photo of Mama Jean and blown it up and laminated it. And there she is on the side of his truck in her big bubble of black hair and a red feather boa and her 1,000-watt smile. And he's written in red magic marker underneath it, "Jean Brickhouse, 1934-2009, God bless." But of course, Ronny and I both had, the main thing we had in common was the intense, domineering love of Mama Jean, which on one second she could yell at us for how we're fucking up our lives, and then the next second she could smile that 1,000-watt smile and tell us how much she loved us. But, so we're sitting in that restaurant, and we're talking about Mama Jean, and then his view of the afterlife, I see, has really developed even further. He says, "I'm telling you, Pank," he called me Pank, "Mama up there is reunited with my father, and it blows my mind. And it's not that she's forgotten your father or pushed him aside. But when it's his time to die, he'll be buried on the other side of her, and when he gets up there, he and my father are going to share Mama." They swing in heaven. They don't call it heaven for nothing. Sounds more like Plato's retreat. So I said, Ronny, do you go out to the cemetery? Yeah, I go all the time. I talk to her all the time, and we know what she looks like. I said, what do you mean we know what she looks like? Well, we know we saw her before they put her in the ground. We know what she's wearing. I said, well, yeah, I picked out her outfit. It's a red evening gown. And I can see her when I talk to her, and I know the look she had on her face before they put her in the ground. And I knew what he was talking about. I knew exactly the look that she had on her face when she was dead. And it was, well, she looked so at peace, and she was smiling, and it looked like at any minute she could open up her eyes and tell me she loved me or say, God damn it, why did you wake me? And I snuck in before they closed the casket, and I took a few photographs of her. And I felt a little creepy about it and kind of ashamed. But I mean, why? I mean, the ancient Greeks and Romans used to do the same thing in the form of death masks. But a couple of days after that, I lost the camera. So I told this to Ronny, and he said, well, I've got photos of her in the coffin out in my glove compartment. He said this as if he were going to lend me a pair of jumper cables. I said, really? Yeah, I took some photos. I'll take them over to Walgreens and have them copied for you. I was always stunned when Ronny's mind and my mind met, but never more than this time. I said, Ronny, do you talk to her at the cemetery? Yeah, all the time. I can even hear her yelling at me sometimes. You ought to go out there and try it sometime. She can hear you. Then he grinned and he got in his truck and he drove away, and Mama Jean's smiling face went with him. Thank you.